So this would be a first module, that is your identity. All right, what is an Azure Active Directory? Let's first of all discuss how many of you have an idea about Active Directory. What is an Active Directory? For those who are coming very new to this platform, right, let me first of all discuss a basics about Active Directory, right? Let's say, forget about Azure Active Directory as of now. Let's say there is something called Azure Active Directory I want to discuss. Let's say you're working in an organization, right? Maybe any of the organization. Let's say it would be WTWXYZ or anything. Let's say you're working in an organization, okay? And you have got a company laptop, right? Let's discuss about the Active Directory first. I'm not discussing about Azure AD. I'm talking about Azure Active Directory. What is an Active Directory is, okay? You have got a laptop from your company, right? This is the laptop that you have got from your company. And let's say you're working for an organization called as WTW. One second. So you're working in an organization WTW. Now, since you're working in an organization, definitely you will be having some domain name, right? Let's say WTW.com, correct? WTW.com, right? If you have received this laptop as a company laptop, what you will find while logging into your laptop, you will find something like WTW slash your username and password that you need to provide, correct? If I talk about your normal personal laptop, you don't need to provide your the domain name, basically WTW. What do? You just provide username and password. That's how you log in into a your personal computers. But in the case of uh, you know, but in case of your is your Active Directory, what happens in the case of in the organization? What happens is you will be given a laptop and you need to log in with your domain credentials. We also say it as domain credentials. That means how does a domain credential will look like? This would be your domain name. This would be your domain name slash your username that your company will be giving you, and you need to provide your password. This is how you log into your company laptop, right? Why company have done this way? Why they have provided domain name slash your username and the password? Why they have provided these credentials in such a way? Because now let's say on your laptop, let's talk about your personal laptop. On your personal laptop, can I see the things and everything? No, right? I because your information is currently stored in your personal computer, right? But in organization, what happens if, because in organization, what happens, there would be not only single user that will be working in companies, there would be multiple users, right? There would be multiple users working for an organization. This would be, let's say, maybe John. This would be, let's say, maybe Bob, right? There would be multiple users who will be working in, correct? One second. There would be John, let's say there would be Bob, right? Many users would be working it, right? John, Bob, and let's say maybe we have got different users who will be working in the organization, and they'll be getting, each one of them will be getting a different laptop, right? But we need a database, a unified, a single database where I can manage all of these users. Basically, what I want, what if I want their profile, let's say John, Bob, and maybe this one is let's say maybe Galvin, right? I want their profiles to be stored at a central repository, at a central location. Then in that case, we use something called as, in companies, what you will find, they have a concept of Active Directory that is used. Active Directory is nothing but the identity management. What is identity management? We are basically keeping all of these users groups at one place so that we can manage it centrally, right? So we'll be creating an Active Directory. We'll be installing this particular role on a server called as Active Directory, right? And we will create their usernames on this Active Directory so that they can log into their laptop, right? So Active Directory is nothing but a basically a centralized identity provider where we create multiple users, right? So in Active Directory, let's say I created something called as John. This username is, let's say, called as John. Now in my Active Directory, I called a user John. So in Active Directory, my domain name, I need to configure a domain name. Which domain name this will be used? So let's say my organization name is WTW and the domain name would be WTW.com. So what will be the John username that he'll get? John at WTW.com. That would be the username that he'll get. Now, once I provide his credentials that your username would be john@wtw.com and your password would be this one, he'll be able to log into his organization laptop, right? So consider your Active Directory as an identity provider where we provision the users, groups, and lot many devices as well, right? So we will be creating these users and everything over here in the Active Directory. Similarly, when we talk about Active, this is what we talked about the on-premises environment. What we talked about currently was the on-premises environment. On-premises is not the cloud one, where you are keeping your users at a central place. Let me show you how does your Active Directory look like. So it is for those people who are very new to the Active Directory. Don't worry, we're gonna gradually go to the your the advanced part as well. It is just for those people who are very new. One second, let me share my different screen. Let me log into one of my lab. I'm going to show you basically a server where Active Directory is installed. Okay. How does the interface looks like? Then I'm going to compare it with the Azure Active Directory, right? Okay. So this is today's why miserable. Okay. No problem, given. And Abdullah, I just saw your chat. No problem. Let me log in. Just wait for it. Okay, cool. So yeah, can you see currently? This is how in your company, in your organization, this would be the structure of your credentials will look like, right? Your my company name, let's say, is Editum. right? And the username that is given over here is administrator. So I'm trying to log into the editum.com domain that is called as a domain basically, and I've been logged in as an administrator user. Now let me show you how it is done. Okay, one second. Let me first of all log into this directory. So I'll be logging into the domain controller. So Active Directory server, where the Active Directory role is installed, that server is also called as a domain controller, right? So Active Directory is what? It is an identity provider because you will create an identity over here and you will be managing those identity. What is an identity? Like Bob is an identity, John is an identity, right? Whomsoever people who are working in your organization, right? That would be your entity. Prince, you want to say something?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Give an idea about it. You're coming from about the Active Directory. Okay, so I've just logged it. Hope you guys can hear me, right? Uh, am I audible?
Yeah, can hear you fine.
Yeah, I can hear you. It did go low
Okay,
for a while, but yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
for a
one second.
second you went very quiet, but
Okay, now it is audible, right? Okay,
yeah.
okay. So now you can see this particular server is called as a domain controller. This is an Active Directory. Now let's say you want to open up an Active Directory on your system. What you'll do, the users in computer, you will basically look for Active Directory users and computers on your system, right? Active Directory users and computers. Right? This is the interface where you'll find all of your users are being provisioned over here, right? This is the interface. This is how the interface looks like. Now, this is the one. Can you see? This editum.com is a domain name basically that represents my organization. So I'm working for this organization. Now, let's say I have a IT person who has joined into that organization. Now, I need to first of all create an identity for him. Let's say my IT department has given a laptop to him, but before he can log into the laptop, I need to create an identity for that user, right? So how would I create an identity for that user? I'll just right click that user, the domain name, and I would say new user. And over here, I'll just fill up the basic details of the user, Bob, right? Maybe Bob, any last name, and this would be the login name. Let's say Bob at, so the logon name means how he would log in. So this is how it is follows, Bob at com. This is also called as fully qualified domain name, FQDN. FQDN means the full name of the user with the domain name itself, right? Now I'll say next. I just provide the password over here and the password over here, right? Now let's say I will provide the password over here. Similarly, the password over here. And this is what I have created. This is also called as an object. So I have created a user object for that user called as Bob, right? So this is how it is done. So what I have done over here, I have created an Active Directory. I have a domain name called as wtw.com. And I have created over here an identity of, let's say, maybe Bob. What I've created identity, Bob, right? Now, Bob, if Bob has to log in to his laptop, what he'll do, he'll provide the domain name wtw.com slash his username, that is slash Bob, and the password that he'll be getting from my ID department. He'll be able to log into his organization laptop. Now, this is an identity store if you want to. So basically, what is an Active Directory? Active Directory is an identity store that is used to create the users, manage the users, groups, and lot many other things as well. This is how the identity provider works. I hope it is clear so far. What I just wanted to give an overview about the Active Directory. What is an Active Directory? So it would be very much easy for you guys to understand about Azure AD now. Is it clear? You can show me a thumbs up if it is clear, everyone. Perfect. Princey, clear? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Now, now let's discuss about your perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Princey. Now let's discuss about your Azure Active Directory. What is an Azure Directory? See, now currently whatever environment we were working on, that was our on-premises environment. That was our on-premises environment. That means we didn't have cloud. Now I'll ask you first of all, guys, what is the difference between on-premises and the Azure cloud? Why do we say on-premises and why I'm keep on repeating cloud? Anyone want to shed light on this part? What is the difference between on-premises and the cloud? Okay, see, what happens, know about data centers and all, right? What is a data center? How does a data center will look like, right? So for people who are very new to IT field, let me show you the data center. A small data. I'm not going to open up this link. Basically, there is a link called as datacenter.microsoft.com, which is actually a virtual tour of Microsoft data center if you want to do. Because this link, if I'll open it up, what will happen is it's gonna hang my browser as of now. That's what happened previously. So if you want to have a virtual tour of the Microsoft data center, right, you can go to this link datacenter.microsoft.com. And in fact, in the second part of this current session today only, I'm gonna show up this particular link, right? Data center dot. But let me show you what is a data center is. What is a data center is? How does a data center look like? This is how the data center looks like. Can you see? So if you want to have a virtual tour of Microsoft data center, you can go to the the datacenters.microsoft.com. So this is how the data center. You'll have these. This is called as a server rack. These are called as server racks. Lot many servers are there inside it, right? Can you see the cabling and lot many other things have been done over here, right? So server is nothing but the extension of a computer only, right? Just like you have got your computers and everything, right? You'll have some extra resources that would be assigned to it. So server is basically a physical extension to your computer only. You'll have maybe more RAM, more storage available to your servers and all, right? That's an hardware device that I'm talking about, right? This is how the data center looks like. Now, in on-premises, that means you are keeping your data center. You are responsible for managing your entire data center. So you'll be having your server room. This is actually called as a server rooms, where all of your servers are being placed. That room is called as a server room, right? So you will manage your server room entirely by your own. If there is any sort of a physical failure happens, let's say maybe there is a cable unplugged happened, or maybe due to any reason the cable got cut, or due to any reason there is a power outage is there, you will be responsible to manage your all the physical hardware failures. But this is what the on-premises environment. On-premises means you are managing your entire data center by yourself. But now why we are moving towards cloud is some organization found it difficult to manage the data center. Trust me, managing the data center is very hectic. And for a person who was working into a data center, I am not sure if you guys can correlate this. Any one of you, if you were working as a data center technician, working as a data center technician, it was very hard for a guy to understand, because what will happen if anything happens in the data center, you will be responsible to, basically resolve that failure, right? So company says that, is there any possibility by which we do not need to manage our data center? We just, if we need a server, we'll just go to the some portal, and we'll say that we want this particular image, we want this particular RAM, we want this particular CPU, and rest is, the physical side would be managed by some other provider. So here comes the cloud. Here comes the cloud, where you do not need to manage your data center. The physical setting up the entire data center, doing the cablings and everything is something not your responsibility. You don't need to manage it. So if it is Azure, Azure is product of which company? Microsoft. Microsoft says that, okay, we are here to provide you a cloud-based solution. You want to create the VMs, right? You want to create some servers. Do it. We'll give you a link, a internet-based link, that is portal.azure.com. You just come to that link and you just say what you want to create. That particular resource will be created in your data center behind the scenes. and you don't need to worry about the data center. That will be our responsibility, right? So this is where the difference between on-premises and the cloud is. And on-premises, you will be managing this data center entirely by your own. But in the case of cloud, you don't need to set up this data center. You don't need to manage this data center, right? Someone will be responsible for you to manage the data center, like Azure, Microsoft will manage, AWS, again, Amazon will manage, Google Cloud, the Google company will manage. Similarly, IBM Cloud, IBM company will manage, right? These are the different cloud providers which are there. I hope the difference is clear. Why we are moving towards, the cloud, not the on-premises one. Just to have, first of all, not only the part that we need to manage the physical part and all, but lot many, security features as well that you get it in the cloud. Okay, we'll be discussing about these things. I hope it is clear what is a data center is, what exactly the your why we are moving towards the from the on premises to the cloud. Why I discussed about this term, guys, because I wanted you guys to understand. I keep on repeating the technical terms, right? On premises cloud, on premises cloud. If it is not clear, it would be very difficult for you guys to correlate with the further sessions, right? That's why I made it clear. On premises is you are managing a data center. Consider it like this as of now, right? Lot many other differences are there, but as of now I'm just covering the basics. You don't need to worry about the other things, right? And cloud is where someone is keeping your data center for you. They are managing the entire data center. So if you want to have a virtual tour of Microsoft data center, how does Microsoft is keeping their data center, you can go to this link, datacenters.microsoft.com, datacenters.microsoft.com, and you will be able to explore a virtual 3D tour of a Microsoft data center. Okay, all right, perfect. Now, I told you Microsoft says that, okay, if you want to create any server, if you want to create any server, you just need to come to a link, right? They have given us, because they said, okay, we will manage the entire data center for you. You just need to come to the portal.azure.com and we'll manage the entire data center for you. So I just went to a URL called as portal. To log into Azure. What is the link that we need to open it up? Portal.azure.com. Okay. So I'll just click on it. Portal.azure.com. Now, can anyone log into the Azure portal.azure.com? Again, I told you, now portal.azure.com represents your organization. Just like in on-premises. On-premises means the data center that you were managing. What concept we had to have an identity store? Active Directory, right? We had a concept of Active Directory where we were provisioning the users and everything, correct? We had a concept of Active Directory. Similarly to Active Directory, when it comes to cloud, that is your Azure, right? We have a concept, the identity store that is called as your, which is what is called as your Azure Active Directory. That is called as AAD as well. In short, it is also called as AAD or Azure AD. That is also, that works very similar to your Active Directory. It is also known as the identity store, right? Just like in the case of Active Directory, we have a concept of what? We have a concept of domain name, right? WTW, that represents your organization. Similarly, in Azure Active Directory, what happens? There is a concept of tenant. What is that? Remember these technical words, tenant. Tenant means an instance of Azure Active Directory. I'll tell you what is an instance of Azure Active Directory. So in Azure Active Directory, what you need to do first, you need to create a tenant. What is that called as? Tenant. Tenant. Okay. Tenant is actually called as an instance of Azure Active Directory. Now, what is an instance of Azure Active Directory? Understand it like this. Let's say you want to create your own house, right? You want to create your house. What do you do before creating your physical entity? Before creating your house, what do? You create a blueprint of it, right? My house gonna look like this. I'm gonna have this windows over here. I'm gonna have these door over here, right? You create a blueprint of it, and based on that blueprint only, you create your physical house, correct? Similarly, as your Active Directory is a blueprint that doesn't do anything by itself, then how I'll use Azure Active Directory? In order to use Azure Active Directory, what I need to do, I need to create something called as a tenant inside my Azure AD. I need to create what is called as tenant.